What's up everybody, Jameson Redding here with the Road Trip Angler. You may have saw my review of the PWR 129, but in this video, I'm gonna talk about how I rigged my Bonafide PWR 129, and we're actually gonna go through the rigging process. Bonafide was awesome, and as I mentioned in the review, if you've watched that video, if you haven't, you should check it out. The link's gonna be in the description below. They shared this boat with me so that I could put it to the test, rig it out, spend some time on it, and share what I thought about it with you guys. But this video is gonna be how I rig the boat. The first thing I'm gonna do is mount the Torqeedo back here. I've already got the plate on. That was really easy. They've got stainless steel hardware in their inserts. So instead of having plugs to just cap those inserts off, they actually have stainless steel hardware. So it could not get any easier to mount whatever plate for whichever motor, whether it's Bixby, Newport, Torqeedo, whatever it is. You just take those 4 screws out, mount that plate back there, and the plate is ready to go. So I'm gonna drop the motor on, and then we're gonna see what it takes to disassemble this rudder back here and hook up those controls to the steering controls and the motor lift controls on the Torqeedo. So we're gonna do that next. Now you guys know that I've been running Torqeedos on my boats for a very long time, and this is the 1103, and it has been through the ringer. I like to have multiple plates on different boats so that I can save on motors and just run, you know, the same motor back and forth on different boats. I rarely ever hook up my reverse lock. Got some bungees that I've used over the years, but I rarely ever use my reverse lock. For now, I'm just gonna lay this over here, and I'm gonna go get a screwdriver, start taking this thing apart and seeing what I gotta do to get that out of the boat. That might reach. One of the things that I've noticed right off the bat is that I don't feel like this is going to be long enough to reach the steering triangle on the Torqeedo and still give me plenty of room and adjustability in the foot pegs up front. Now, if I was a bit shorter, I would probably be fine to just tear or tie on my carabiner here and run that directly to that, but I'm just gonna lengthen these out a bit. I happen to keep a little bit of extra Spectra cord around. I'm just gonna basically connect these two things just like I was tying leader on a fishing line. A double uni knot. If you got a Torqeedo and it's brand new out of the box, it's gonna come with these guys, and I love them. I like to keep extra ones. Again, I rig multiple boats. I kind of like to have the carabiner left in place. I have the foot pegs set at what I think is gonna be the right length right now, but I also left some adjustability in them so that I can move them in and out. And I can actually leave this kind of loose and take up that slack on the actual foot peg, which I like. Just get this pretty close. I'm gonna cut off some extra. All right, now I'm just gonna repeat that process, get me some cordage unwound here. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I've got that part done. The steering is hooked up. As you can see, it turns it almost 90 degrees to the boat, which is gonna allow this thing to really spin within itself. That was pretty simple. I just extended those out a little bit with some extra Spectra and attached them to the steering triangle. Now I've got to get it where I can lift that motor out of the water. We're gonna remove the rudder and pull this cable through, and that way we can hook it up here and see if this is strong enough to actually lift this motor out of the water. I haven't removed the rudder plate or rudder yet, but I have untied my Spectra, and obviously it's not enough. Plus, I like to create the triangle here to be able to give you a little bit of a mechanical advantage. I've taken off this plate back here that allows you access to the inside, and I've pulled the cord through the little grommet, or the little rubber pass-through, or plastic pass-through, whatever you want to call it, is I want to basically get this to where I extend it, but that when the motor is all the way down, the knot is on the inside of this grommet. And that way everything I'm dealing with out here is clean. There's no knots that are going to pass through anything or catch on anything, but I want to extend this out. You could replace this if you have more Spectra. I don't have a long enough piece of Spectra, plus I don't want to waste, so I'm just going to cut this off and tie it on to the new piece. And I want the knot again to be like right at that grommet, not passing through it. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to make this happen. It's a stainless pulley. I'm going to hook that there. I'm going to run my cable up through it, through the pulley, and back down, and I'm going to tie it off right here. So what's going to happen is when I pull this, and I've got this stationed here, that is going to come down like that, and it gives me a little bit of a mechanical advantage. You don't want to leave too much extra in here, because the more you have, the more slack that you have, the longer you're going to have to pull this to get it completely out of the water. Is the Torqeedo. All right, I'm going to put this lock and load base right here where this spot is. I'm not going to run my cables inside the boat simply because I want to be able to pull all this stuff off. Now, other motors may be easier to do that with. This battery could sit nice like that. A lot of times I turn mine up to run the cables underneath the seat and attach them. Now, one of the cool things is you got these deep grooves in the bottom of the boat, so you could actually kind of run this cable underneath whatever crate. And that will help hold it in place. And you've got this bungee. Now, not only am I holding the seat down, but I'm holding that battery in place. As I mentioned, I'm going to take this disc off because the rudder now will just stay down. And basically, this metal part that the line went through on the top will unscrew, and it seems like it's going to take forever to do it. But there you have it. The other option would be to simply tie this in the upright position if you wanted to leave this on. But my only fear there is that it might turn. Next thing I'm gonna look at adding is a console here. So I have the Boondocks slotted console. So we're gonna get it mounted up. Got the crossbar and the mounting stands. These are too long. Putting those things in, the hardware that comes with it is super nice. It's stainless. Not trying to knock it, but I don't know if it's because of the track here, but that screw is too long and it's bottoming out and I can't get it to tighten. So I'm gonna throw these pieces, these little flat pieces that go in the track, into my hardware bin. I happen to have some T-bolts. Rock solid. Now I'm going to get my fish finder mount. I'm going to mount it right here. So I have the Lowrance FS Elite FS 9. I like to mount using the lock and load base. What's really cool about having the console, if I do end up adding dual graphs, I've got room to be able to do that. Now that I've got the console on here and mounted, and I know where my graph is going to go, I actually wanted to get my transducer mounted to the bottom of this pod that goes in the middle of the boat. So last night I started playing with it. It got a little late to film, so I don't actually have this on film, unfortunately, but what I did is I took a piece of closed cell foam that I had and trimmed it so that it was the right thickness to glue the transducer to the foam and the foam to this box using 2-part epoxy. So I don't know if this is going to hold up. This is the first time I've ever tried this. My thought was if I could do it without having to drill through this, I wouldn't have to seal any holes. And the reason I put the foam on there is because I want my side scan to work. And while it tucks the transducer up all the way up in the boat, if I put it flat or flush onto the pod, which is nice because it's going to be super protected, it wouldn't actually allow that side scan to get the angle it needs to be accurate. So I want it on that line of being as low as I can get it, but still tucked in. And the sides of the boat actually protrude down just a little bit, so I can have this hanging down and still feel pretty protected about it. So we're going to take these straps off and see if my glue actually is going to hold up. Time will tell if this was a good idea or a bad idea. So let's put this in there and see how that looks. My next step is going to be sending this transducer cable into the boat. Basically what I'm going to do is take this cable. I'm going to get me a YakAttack pass-through, put it on here. I got the through-hole wiring kit from YakAttack. This is the XL. I went with the XL because I wanted to make sure that I could go in and out that same pass-through. We're going to put this in, the removable plate that's up front, and then I'm going to wire up using this 20 amp hour battery pro power kit from YakAttack. Now that I got the hole drilled, it's time to put these guys in place. Again, I'm going to take and pass the long cable here. Got to get that through first, then through here. So I'm done. It's going to look just like that. I just need to now screw this in. Okay, the last thing I need to do now for the fish finder or the depth finder is put in my plug in here and put the battery inside. Got the pass-through kit. This is the through-hole panel connector, which I'm going to use with that 20 amp battery power kit. I need a 5/8 inch spade bit or hole saw bit and a 3/32 drill bit for the 4 screws that hold it in place. Gonna slide this through. Ooh, it's a tight fit. I'm gonna have to turn it on its side. This is when I'm glad that I used T-bolts to mount this. I've got all my wires run. Let's grab on. Now that I got a fish finder, depth finder, whatever you want to call it installed, next thing I'm going to install is not 1 but 2 power pole brackets, because I'm going to run dual power poles off the back of this thing. In order to do this, I've got the 2 adapter plates from Bonafide. Basically the 4 bolt hole pattern for the power pole, and then you've got these 4 bolt holes that match up to the inserts on the boat. And it looks like they actually come with the hardware kit to do this, which is awesome. And I believe the best way to do this is going to be to actually mount the power pole bracket on here first. In order to make the screws that come with it work, I would have to drill out these tops a bit bigger because not long enough. I'll be careful not to go too far with it. Seriously, I'm just all right. Plate is now ready for the power pole. All right, now I just need to repeat that process on the other plate. I'm gonna get these motors mounted and the batteries, and I'm going to grab my poles and mount those as well. I think it will work, but I may have to take the plate off, put the mount on, so I can't actually get this piece in there without, well, I got it in there. I think that's going to work. All right, that's one down. twin power poles, baby. 2 brand new 6-foots. Might be wondering why 2 power poles? Why not just 1? Well, a lot of times you want to face a certain way and you can't stop the boat from pivoting if you have only 1 power pole. And this is even on my big boat. I have 1 power pole in the back. So what happens is the wind is going to turn, or the current is going to turn that boat to where pole itself is upstream or up current and the boat is facing downwind, which sometimes is fine. But the reason you see big bass boats, or a lot of bass boats, with dual power poles in the back is because if you drop both of them, the boat is not going to swing anymore. Woohoo! You hold both those arrows down at the same time and hit the button. Got both power poles mounted. I'm gonna clean up a bit and then I'm gonna put in my black pack, which is actually a tan pack, and see if I can fit it as well as my soft plastics bag. Actually, there's probably enough room under the seat for my soft plastics bag. We're gonna see in just a second. Check to see if this bag would fit in post. It doesn't. Bummer. Could. I don't know how much fun that would be to get out of there. I got my bag to go under the seat, but it's not going to really work with this tray. One option would be to just take the tray completely out. I still don't know if it would fit in there, but it might would. I like the tray, but again, if I could just slide my bags under there, I think that would be pretty awesome. Let me try that actually. I like the tray, but I like that bag just sitting under my seat. I can fit a couple of them under there. And the only other thing that I'm not 100% on yet is rod staging. So I do have these rod stagers here, and it may be that I just put them there, but I have been liking my rods kind of staged off to the side. So I may see about doing something of that nature. All right, I got most everything rigged, I believe, the way I want it. I'll probably be dialing this thing in for a little bit as I get it out in the water and really figure out what I want where. The one thing I'm not sure about yet is rod staging. I may put some roto grips or some type of rod stager up here from YakAttack. And also there's a little grip thing that I found online, and I'll probably do an update once I add that, but it holds those rod butts really well. Other than that, I've got my Lowrance, I got my YakAttack power kit, transducer mounted to the bottom of the pod, Torqeedos here, cup holder. I got the track packs on both sides. I have my black pack rigged and my Torqeedo battery set up. And then on the stern, I've got my Torqeedo 1103 and the twin power poles. The only thing I really ran inside the boat itself was the pass-through for the Lowrance, and that's it so far. I was able to utilize the steering cables, and I attached the rudder lift cable to my Torqeedo. We're gonna see if that works. I may end up having to add another cable, but we're gonna check it out. Hopefully this video will help you make better decision if you're looking at the PWR, and you'll know if it's the right boat for you. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.